The end is here. The legislative session reign of terror entered its final week, taking aim at our democratic rights, our dignity on the job, and our say in Florida's democracy. The people of Florida are fighting back and winning against these atavistic attacks. In this week's legislative update, Florida fights back.
They were coming. Who? What were? Them.
You saw the creatures.
They were alive.
This session, the legislature attempted to shroud the college and university presidential selection process. Concerned citizens from across the state stood up against this attempt to steal our sunshine.
Sunshine, no secrecy. Sunshine, no secrecy.
Thanks to the actions of Florida's stalwart defenders of democracy, both Senate Bill 774 and House Bill 7081 were indefinitely postponed, meaning Floridians will keep their right to information. Florida's direct democracy is once again being targeted by certain members of the legislature and the billionaires that bankroll them. The broadside in the House, House Bill 7037, thankfully was postponed after continued pushback from freedom-loving Floridians.
Intercept and destroy it before it strikes.
Senate Bill 1794 is a particularly nasty piece of legislation that, if signed by the governor, would continue the death by 1,000 cuts campaign that has been waged over the last decade by big money special interests.
Chair Grant, as you know, we've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. Members, I think we should not restrict the rights of the public to be able to be heard with these constitutional amendments, and so I'm voting down.
I think I represent the 6 or 8 or 10 or 14% of the people who elected me. But those other people don't necessarily have a voice in this chamber. And by making it more difficult for them or for others outside their state to petition, to address this body for things that we don't or haven't addressed, we're silencing their voice.
The power to propose the revision or amendment of any portion or portions of this Constitution by initiative is reserved to the people. Reserved to the people. That's in our state constitution. And the second thing I want to read is a quote from the father of our United States Constitution, James Madison, when he said, "There are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachments of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations."
I'm going to vote against this today, but I know it will pass. And so I think my bigger addition to this debate is to seriously think about the issues that have gone to the ballot successfully or close to successfully, and to consider integrating those ideas into this body. Because if we're going to make these processes more difficult for everyday people, obviously there's a demand for it, whether it's cannabis, whether it's rights restoration, environmental protection. Voters have spoken more than once when they're putting their name to something, let alone when it gets on ballot and they vote for it. And so let's seriously take the voice of the people into consideration.
I tell them, I quote or paraphrase Abe Lincoln's part of his address at the Gettysburg battlefield, when he said, "Government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish." I remind people, this is all of ours. You send us up here to represent you. And constantly, I see these attempts made to usurp their power to some degree. And I have to ask, where is it coming from?
As we as a body move forward with things like this, it sends the wrong message to the people of the state of Florida to make it seem as we know all the answers. Truth be told, we do not. That's why this option was made available for people to be able to do this. And for us to limit that opportunity, it is not right. Not only is it not right, it is the very reason why when you ask the public about government, not only do they not trust us. That is the very reason why they don't like politics.
Senate Bill 1794 passed 73 to 45. Every year, the legislators, bought and sold by corporate influence, pass sweeping tax breaks in our annual budget. HB 7097 was no different. Brave legislators answered the call for Florida's working families and amended the bill in order to provide more resources for the people of Florida.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are one of the few states that still allow separate reporting. This amendment would fix that and bring us into the majority of states that have combined reporting in terms of how we determine who a corporate taxpayer is. Very briefly, the use of separate reporting allows tax avoidance techniques among the biggest businesses in the world that do business here, have tax liability, but can move their profits out of our state and try to avoid taxes.
The bill passed 104 to 8. This session saw key wins for the working people of Florida, defeating bills that would have drastically weakened the rights of Florida's working people. House Bill 1, an all-out attack on our public sector unions, vanquished.
The job will be done when these are destroyed.
Okay, burn them up.
HB 305, SB 1126, SB 890, HB 1161, SB 1336, and HB 3. Bills attempting to preempt our local community's voice in protecting workers and consumers, thwarted. SB 1216 and HJR 157. A brazen assault on our school boards, halted.
I don't think it can be killed, but at least we've got it stopped.
Working people from across the Sunshine State stood up against these dire dilemmas of democracy, making calls, writing postcards, and joining the Working Families Lobby Corps as citizen lobbyists to bring their voice to our capital.
Leo Haggerty, I'm the Vice President of the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association. That's 7432 down in Tampa, Florida. I'm here with all my union brothers and sisters behind me. We're up here in Tallahassee. And again, read my shirt, proud union member. Two things I want you to do. Hold your representatives accountable for what they're doing up here. They're thinking out of sight, out of mind. And the second thing, vote. V-O-T-E, vote. Because elections have consequences, and it's time we got our people in office, right?
That concludes our report of the 2020 legislative session. While the stakes were high, the people of Florida fought back with aplomb against the terror in Tallahassee. Tune in to the Florida AFL-CIO for more updates throughout the year as we continue the fight for the working people of the Sunshine State.